Ready to go to another one in Revelation 7?
Absolutely, because we have a few more minutes left, so let's dive into another one.
The Jehovah's Witnesses love to talk about the 144,000.
Yes.
And they believe there's sort of a special elect group of Jehovah's Witnesses who kind of live with God up there for all eternity, and the great cloud, everybody else is stuck down here on earth picking apples like in their weird little pictures that they show when they come to your door. All right, so now let's look and find out who is the identity of those in Revelation chapter 7. Because, let me turn there real quick myself. But have you heard this, Al-Fadi, some about the 144,000? What have you heard about it while I turn there?
Well, basically, I got some Jehovah's Witnesses stop at my house telling me that I should really consider to become a Jehovah's Witness. But when I ask about, am I going to make it to heaven now? And the answer was sadly no, because they don't think I'll be part of the 144,000.
All right. So, yeah, you'll be down on there with everybody else.
So I said, you know what, I went with Jesus because he promised I will be in heaven. I like that position.
Right. So I'm going to use a great book here that I'm going to recommend everybody. It's called 40 Questions About the End Times by Eckhard Schnabel. And he has a little question here, question 9. Who are the 144,000 in Revelation 7? And let's look at it. It's Revelation 7, and it says, and I heard the number of the sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel. Then it lists them, and after it lists the tribes in 5 through 8, it says, after this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. A couple features about this. Number one is they have been sealed. Okay? That's important to notice, number one, and we have to talk a little bit about what that means. And I also think that we should consider 12, we should at least consider this might be symbolic language with symbolic import and symbolic meaning, because 12 is often used that way, and notice the number 12 is used 12 times, 12,000 specifically.
Remember, we're dealing with the book of Revelation.
Yes, exactly. And so we shouldn't deny that there's symbolic language going on there in certain spots. It doesn't mean everything, but it means where it is, because it's apocalyptical language, a common element of the genre. This figure, 144,000, also occurs in Revelation 14, 1 through 3, and so that must be brought into the interpretation of Revelation 7. And this seal of God is important. It's an essential feature here, and it pops up in some other places, but mainly 7, 1 through 8. And within this context, the context is the 6th and 7th judgment seal. And I agree, those are important points. We're not going to be able to get to everything, but let me skip through here and talk about what I think is a more legitimate interpretation. And I have in front of me some commentaries that have alternative interpretations, such as a common one you might hear is literal descendants of each of the tribes, 12,000 from each one. But there's a few things. Number one, this list, if you look at it, doesn't match any of the 19 or 20 of the Israel's tribes listed in the Old Testament. There's significant differences. For example, Judah is listed first. That's irregular. Now, that shows you it's Christocentric, because who's the lion from the tribe of Judah? Dan is not even mentioned in this list. The reason's not given. You could say it's because of Judges 18:30 where they fell into idolatry, but the reason isn't given. Levi is mentioned, but they didn't even receive an allotment in the land of Israel.
That's right.
John lists the tribe of Joseph, and he says Manasseh, but he doesn't list Ephraim.
That's right.
And the order seems to kind of follow the son's birth order according to the mothers. So it's a highly irregular list. Again, that's a clue to say maybe this doesn't mean a literal thing. It doesn't match anything else. So what could be going on here? Well, let's look at it.
I can tell you this. I mean, quickly, of course, the mention of Judah, that's the fact that the line of Judah comes from there.
Yeah.
The mention of Joseph, that's the firstborn, and the rights of the firstborn. And the mention of Levi, of course, has to do with the high priest.
Yes, exactly. Now let's look at this. And that's all Christocentric stuff once you understand you're in the new covenant. So I think a symbolic interpretation is the best way to go, and it represents the church, which is the complete number of God's elect. And I base this upon Revelation 9:4 partially, where these demonic scorpions of the fifth trumpet are ordered, quote, not to harm the grass of the earth or any plant or tree, but only those who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And so there's a distinction there between people of God and those who have not repented yet. And this idea of Israel in Galatians 6:16 and Romans 9:6 is used of Gentile and Jewish believers alike. And remember, we've already shown that according to Romans and other places in Scripture, that Jews can mean Jew in a spiritual sense, not some outward physical thing. Okay, now notice this. I would even say that James 1:1 and 1 Peter 1:1 are kind of describing the church in terms of Jewish dispersion and all that. So there's a way to do it. 1 Peter 2:4-8, he calls the whole church a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. And this irregular list is kind of like this final reference that shows you this is not a literal reference to ethnic Israel, I believe. Now, by the way, what Jehovah's Witnesses say is super wrong. I'm not a dispensationalist, but I'm not saying that the dispensationalists are super wrong and that's heresy. I'm just saying I think there's a better way to understand it, and I think it opens up a broader interpretation about what really the church is. And I think that's a better way to make sure we understand there's really only one people of God. But I understand my dispensationalist friends, and I'm not hating when I say this, just so everyone knows. And if you're a dispensationalist, just keep an open mind. This isn't some liberal thing. This is saying, what's the Bible really saying? And so the symbolic value could represent the complete number of the people of God, this worldwide congregation who follows the Lamb. And I really think that's the most plausible interpretation about who the 144,000 are. There's more reasons, but we don't have time to do it right now. Or do we? Do we have time to do one more?
We have only 2 minutes left. I don't think, brother, we can have any time. So when is